Do you know what happens when you type google.com and press enter? Let's find out. In this video you will learn the journey of a web request, DNS, HTTP, and servers, the rendering process, HTML, CSS, JavaScript execution order, how browsers load and display web pages, and to start, what happens when you type google.com and press enter. Before making a network request, the browser checks its cache to see if it already knows the IP address or has a stored version of the page. If the cache doesn't have the IP, the browser asks a DNS server. Now that it has the IP, the browser sends a request. This request asks for the home page of Google. Google's web server processes the request and sends back an HTML document with links to CSS, JavaScript, and media files. The browser parses the HTML, finds external resources, CSS, JavaScript, images, and begins rendering the page. How a web page is rendered in the browser. The browser reads the HTML document top to bottom. It constructs the document object model, which is the page structure. The browser finds link tags pointing to CSS files. CSS is render blocking, so the page will not render until CSS is downloaded and applied. Once loaded, the browser creates the CSS object model. The browser combines the document object model and CSS object model to create the render tree. If script tag is encountered before rendering, it pauses everything until it's fully loaded and executed. This can block the page from rendering, so scripts are often placed at the bottom of body or loaded asynchronously using async or defer. Now let's take a look at developer tools of the page we just created. First, we can see the index.html file that browser requested from the server. That file contains the HTML code. Then, we can see two other files that browser requested, styles.css, which is empty in our case, and script.js file that contains some JavaScript code. Let's summarize. First, fetch HTML and start parsing. Second, load and apply CSS. Third, generate render tree and display content. Fourth, load and execute JavaScript. Did you know all the steps? Let us know in the comments.